Hello there, people of the internet. So I was out here at the gun range and I made a discovery. I've discussed this discovery with some of my fellow patrons and some of my Discord dwellers. I guess that's what I'm going to call them here. I was out on the gun range with a couple of my Mosin Nagant rifles, or Mosin Nagant rifles, however it is you feel like pronouncing that. But I was out here on the gun range and I was running my 9130 with some Red Army Standard. This is just rebranded tool ammo. This is cheap steel case, now dirty ammunition. I was just running this stuff through my 9130, having a good time, plinking at about 100 yards, and normally with this stuff out of my 9130s I get about 6 MOA. Now I myself am not better than like a 3 MOA shot with good ammo out of a good rifle, so 6 MOA is something that like I was fully expecting from this. But I was out there with my 9130 and, you know, just shooting at the steel at 100 yards, and 6 MOA is enough to hit the steel, at least on most shots. And I decided to myself, you know what, I think I'm gonna treat this old 9130 here to some top-end PPU brass case ammunition, just because I feel like she deserves it, right? So I go ahead and I grab some of this PPU brass and I run that down range and I pull off 2 MOA with this Mosin Nagant that I thought was a 6 MOA rifle. I'm like, holy crap. This thing right here is shooting 2 MOA. I'm like stacking rounds on top of one another at 100 yards with this Mosin, with this PPU brass. And I'm like, wow, ammunition makes this much of a difference? So I grab a few more Mosins. I grab my M44 and I grab my Type 53 and I run some steel case ammo through them, and these have way tighter groups than the steel case ammo did from the 9130 that I was using. So I grabbed another 9130 and it also had a lot of spread, just like the other 9130 did with this steel case ammunition. So that's 2 9130s that have a very significant spread. I grabbed some finish rifles and I run the steel case through it. These do not have a significant spread. So far, out of the M44, the Type 53, the Finish M27, I believe it was, and the Finish 1891 refurbished rifle, I believe it is. Those all had much, much tighter groups than the 9130s did with these steel case ammunition. So I went ahead and I borrowed a third Mosin from a friend of mine. It is also a Wartime production 9130. I ran steel case ammo through that, and I got the same exact spread as I did with my other 9130s. So that's 3 9130s that are giving me significant spread, way more with the steel case ammunition than these other Mosin Nagant rifles are that are, you know, other patterns besides the 9130. So I started thinking to myself, well, crap, maybe the 9130 is just, you know, a crappy designed Mosin. And then I started thinking, well, this is a World War II variant. Maybe the Mosin Nagants that I'm rocking here are, you know, just maybe they have shot out with corroded barrels, or maybe something's going on here. And I was like, no, that can't be the case, because the good PPU brass, you know, that stacks up very, very well in these 9130s. You're talking 2 MOA in all of these rifles with the brass ammo, but like 6, 7, 8 MOA depending on how hungover I was whenever I was doing the test. You're talking a lot of spread with the steel case ammunition out of these 9130s, and not near as much spread out of the other Mosin Nagant rifles. So I decided to go ahead and test this even further. I go back to the same guy that I borrowed that 9130 from, and I borrowed a pre-war 9130, and I go ahead and I run steel case ammo through that. And that does not have near the amount of spread as these other 9130s do. So I start to see a pattern. It seems that World War II production, whatever they were doing to produce their 9130s, whatever had happened with their 9130s, I don't know if they used some sort of special twist rate, or some sort of different rifling, or some sort of different barrel configuration, or some sort of different something during the World War II production, and it seems to not like steel case ammunition. I went ahead and I tested it with another pre-war 9130. One of these rifles was like a 1933 production. The other rifle was like a 1935, if memory serves me correctly. But I went ahead and I checked it, or I tested this on another pre-war 9130. And this other pre-war 9130, much like the other one before that one, had not near as significant of a spread as the 9130s that are current war World War II production did. So this was just an experiment that I was running on my own time. There's not really anything significant that came from the test. It was just an observation. And the conclusion that I've come to, although I'm sure it's not set in stone, I imagine that there's other people out there that are going to say that their wartime production 9130 runs just fine with this steel case ammunition. I am noticing steel case ammunition in World War II production 9130s has significantly more spread than pre-war 9130s and other models of Mosin Nagants. They seem to spread a lot less with steel case ammunition than the current, or the World War II production 9130s. Now the 9130s that are World War II production, once you throw like PPU brass or some sort of better quality ammunition in there, then they seem to group very, very well. Now, whenever I talk about the steel case ammo, I'm talking modern production tool ammo or like Red Army Standard or something like that. I'm not talking about the Com Block Surplus 44010 steel case ammunition, the ammunition that was legitimately designed for these rifles. I'm not talking about those. Those group very, very well in these World War II production rifles. I'm specifically talking about the steel case ammunition that is produced today. Just one of those things to bear in mind, one of my observations. I wanted to go ahead and throw this out there and see what you guys have to say. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Out of testing it in several different Mosin Nagant platforms, it was only the wartime production 9130s that I saw any significant issues with. So I think I'm going to go ahead and save my PPU brass for those wartime production 9130s, because running steel case ammunition through those bastards with the poor grouping that they have at 100 yards, I feel like that there's more of a waste of ammo. Instead of doing that, I'm going to go ahead and run the steel case ammunition through rifles like this. This right here is my Sporterized Type 53. I use this one for hunting quite a bit just because it is Sporterized. The Type 53 is not a collectible Mosin Nagant. That's why I'm not really concerned about putting this back in its original configuration. There's no real significant history behind this thing, only because it's not the Russian pattern. This right here is just basically the Chinese version of the Mosin Nagant. Whole history that goes into the Chinese getting their hands on everything they need from the Russians to produce the Mosin Nagant, and then they end up moving over to the SKS, but that's a story for another topic. Well, a story and topic for another video. But steel case ammo, this right here runs the steel case ammo just fine. We get like 3 MOA out of this thing at 100 yards. You know, from me, I imagine somebody who's actually competent at shooting could probably run much better grouping with these right here than I possibly can. My M44 does it just fine. Finished rifles seem to do it just fine. Basically everything besides the wartime production 9130, which is good, because I was thinking that the steel case ammunition, after I had discovered that it grouped way worse than the brass case ammo, I was thinking I had wasted my money and all that, and firing out of my Mosins was just going to be, like I said, a complete waste. But instead, I've discovered that it is just the wartime production 9130s that I have ran that seem to have trouble with the steel case ammunition grouping size. My other rifles seem to have absolutely zero problems with the steel case ammunition, and the group size is actually quite decent. So my steel case ammunition is still going to be used, just probably not through my 9130s. Now, I imagine if I'm doing a video like I am right now, I'll break out a 9130, run steel through it. At this distance, which is my normal videoing distance, we're only at about 40 yards or so, I can hit my steel target at 40 yards with some steel case ammunition through a 9130. Hell, even whenever I'm out at 100 yards, even with the massive group size that we get from the 9130, we still have pretty significant contact on target whenever we're running that rifle. Anyway, folks, like I said earlier, thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos like this. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm genuinely curious. That's why I'm making this video right here. Like the video if you like the video. Description down below has a link to all sorts of different things. Go ahead and go check that out. That being said, you guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'm going to go ahead and roll some B-roll footage with this rifle here, so I can go ahead and have some sort of shooting footage in this video. Not only that, but I also feel like running this Type 53. It's been a little while since I ran it. Like I said, it's a hunting rifle, and 9 times out of 10, whenever you're out hunting, you don't necessarily get the chance to grab anything. So I don't necessarily get the chance to use this very much. So I'm going to go out to 100 yards and plink on this steel. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.